Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, I appreciate your time today. We've compressed about 8 hours of footage of the one-way payer system in action, and I'd like to show that to you today. All the footage, I need to point out, has been sped up to about 32 times normal, and that allows you to see the groupings of the vehicles, or platoons as they're called technically. So here's a layout of the system. You probably all saw that, of the one-way pair, and some drone footage of the system in action, just some pretty shots to get things started. And we're going to start with looking at the two models that were the AM model. The first one is we modeled what was there using the traffic software before any construction was done. And what I'd like to point out, in your top left corner is Main Street, and you will see the little line of ant cars piling up, well, almost a Radius Church. And I think we all experienced that, right? I mean, that's what the system functioned like. And you'll see it go through a cycle or two, and most of those cars that are in that line don't make it through the intersection, so they get caught at multiple red lights. And then in a moment here, we're going to move to the model of what was actually built. So this is the model that we use to determine if what was being built was going to be of value to the town. And so you'll notice in this one, I'll point you to the same spot, that spot on Main Street, top left-hand side. You'll see the car. There, of course, are a little bit of backup as cars get caught at the light, but they really don't go much further than the little rectangle that's on the top side of that, which is Libby's Restaurant, or right where the hill starts going up towards Flight Deck. And so now what we're going to look at is the actual intersections. Again, this is 32 times regular speed, so we've compressed an hour and just a few, and really almost less than a minute here per slide, and we'll blow up a number of these individually so we can look at them in detail. This is just to give you a picture, give you an idea of what intersections we're looking at. So the first one is at Aladia's, looking back up the hill, and I want you to notice how this matches with the model. So those cars that are on the top of the screen, it's not that there's no cars at the signal, but they basically stop right about the curb, right about the raise in the hill, and then they clear out at each cycle of the traffic signal. See, they've cleared out again, and then they'll stop, and they will back up, back to about that point that was predicted, and then clear out. So this is AM peak traffic we're looking at now. Let's see, here's the next one, which is at the intersection with the two courthouses. Can't see quite as well here because of the trees, but what I want you to notice is how few vehicles get caught mid-block. So that's 2. I think in the next one there might be 3. On 1. Again, this is AM peak. 2 vehicles. So it's clearing out that intersection every single time. And here, this is, in my opinion, the most interesting. Of course, the project was done to benefit Main Street, but all the additional capacity that was created by the one-way pair on Lake and Church this looks like this no matter what time you look. AM peak, PM peak, afternoon. Every single time 6 fills up and clears out, it doesn't even get to the bend in the road in between the county admin building and the courthouse. And again, it looks like that every time. So now we're going to go to a view in the PM peak. Now all this footage comes from August the 9th, which was the day after Adaptive went live over there. And so we're going to have some different angles here because obviously we're more concerned with different views in the PM than we are in the AM. Traffic's moving in a different direction. I believe it starts with Church Street, which is you'll see a similar action as you saw on South Lake, and it'll blow up here in just a second. But what I want you to notice is as the platoons move through from Columbia Avenue, you can kind of see them. They'll start coming over the hill as the next group comes through, and then it'll clear out and catch that group. And then we'll see that happen again. And then I believe one more time, you see it catches the group, and then as soon as the cars start coming over the hill from Columbia Avenue, green light and clears out those that were waiting. Every single time. So now we're looking on Main Street. This is westbound traffic, so we're looking back towards West Columbia in this picture. And this probably isn't the best of views. It doesn't see as far, but it does illustrate again when a lot of green light time for Main Street. When it does stop, you do of course get some buildup, and then it clears out. This is a much better view. Now, you don't have much storage here, so that tail is kind of like it is on the AM traffic going the opposite direction. It builds up, but it's clearing out every single time. So the one-way pair system gave us, depending on when you're looking at, sometimes it's 45% more green time on Main Street, and in some cases it's as much as 60%, 62% more green time on Main Street. Depends on the time of day and what the needs are for the side streets. So without getting into all the technical details, I'm not a traffic engineer, I think, what do they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think you can watch this video and understand very clearly how well that system is working. That was, like I said, about 8 hours of video compressed that we saw very quickly, but it really helps illustrate the point of what the purpose of the system was and what benefits that we're seeing direct.